Finding quality online materials for your courses is key. It's central to having an effective, engaging, exciting, high quality online class or blended class of some fashion. So that's what we're going to talk about in this program. What are those resources that are available to you that you can embed today in your classes to engage your students as well as engage yourself? So let's take a look at some of the things that are possible here. We're coming to you from Indiana University here in Bloomington, Indiana, lovely Bloomington, where we have tons of resources online and made available to the world. Now it's time for you to identify what's possible, for you to find resources and maybe adapt them for your own classes, for you to think about how to utilize course contents for your students in a wise, reflective, thoughtful manner. So you don't want to just use them the way they are, but repurpose them. Expand on those things that are simple into maybe something more complex, or distill down something that's highly complex into something simple. For your students, your particular audience, your class, your level of course content. Embed those contents within your course in a thoughtful manner. Don't just add supplemental resources because they're catchy or look exciting, but think carefully about where they fit. And as you explore these contents, think about categorization schemes. Think about how you might collect these contents in a special place that you might be able to access when needed. Whether it's even just a PowerPoint slide deck with web URLs and screenshots. That's what I do. I flip back through all the exciting things I find in one PowerPoint slide deck per year. And it grows by hundreds every year. Find ways not only to collect, but to share with your colleagues. Build a base of colleagues that are sharing that content, that area, so that you create a community, if you will. Maybe even post within your course management system those resources that you can take then and repost in future years or semesters of that class or other sections of the same class, the same semester. As you do all this, you need to be evaluating what's working, what's not working, reassessing your approach to all these contents, because you can overwhelm people. You can find too much. You might get too many recommendations. You might exceed your expectations of your audience so that, they might think, hey, there's so much out there for you to use. You get a little gold star, right? Within your content. But you might find too little. And I tell anybody who finds too little, just spend an hour on the web searching, and believe me, you will find plenty for you to use within your class, or maybe have a student assignment where they're searching for things and finding information that can be used. But start a group that discusses. Start kind of a community that is interested in supplementing their classes with web resources, and then maybe rating and evaluating them. Maybe if you find enough resources, create a portal, create a website. When you go, you might be off fishing for new information, and you might have your little fish out there, and you fish a bit, and you're going to find tons of contents out there as you fish in this World Wide Web, right? So share those contents, get feedback on them, create some kind of portal, maybe attend conferences purposefully where resources are being shared. You might get permissions from other people to use them. Maybe have students suggest resources as a cool resource provider every week in your class. Maybe have your students sort through what does exist and give you feedback on the high quality and low quality ones. Which I just did in my class. I had them sort through hundreds of resources and find the best 10 that I shouldn't delete, and maybe the worst 10 that I should delete. But have archives of those works that you bring along with you. Maybe have the writers, the creators of that content, give you feedback on how to use them. Maybe ask their permission to use them. Write them a letter or an email. And as you get their permissions, maybe you might expand your network to other instructors around the world teaching that same content. So your blended course, in effect, becomes not only blended at your university, college, or institute, or corporation, but beyond. and continue to explore these repositories. Have that explorer hat on, so you're continuing to find and use new stuff. You might find pictures in Flickr. Flickr is in Creative Commons with public domain pictures. Google Images are in Creative Commons as well, which enable you to use these images in different ways according to the copyright clearance that it has. WikiEducator has educators talking about free contents, and the Open Education Resource Foundation is sharing contents on other programs of this show. We're talking about OpenCourseWare. We're going to talk about open education resources. If you go to OER Commons, if you go to the National Repository of Online Courses, you'll find many course contents you can use in your classes. Museums on the web, libraries online, zoos. I mean, there's a plethora of places you can go, from federal government resources, NASA resources, but the Museum of Online Museums, hundreds of museums you can use. Portals of scientists like Darwin, commemorating the 200-year anniversary of his birth and 150-year anniversary of origin of the species. You know, Cambridge University in the UK has made this available free to the world. And if you don't like Wikipedia, if you don't like Wikispecies, also built by Wikipedia, the Wikimedia Foundation, you can use the World Digital Library for cultural and historical information that's been peer-reviewed by the United Nations and created by them over a span of many years. You can go to the Inside the PDF Life if you don't like Wikispecies, because this has peer review, and they're looking at 2.7 million species with peer review of contents on the web. If you want to go beyond that, you just might want to explore other people's syllabi and find out how they're teaching a particular class. Go to teaching and learning centers, instructional consulting offices for examples, for advice. Bring those consultants in to look at your class and to give you some helps and tips and aids. You know, some of the things you're going to find out there are going to be purely rocks, you know, just rocks. You don't want the rocks. You want the gold nuggets or the light bulbs going off, right? You want to continue to find and hammer and chip away at what's available on the web, right? So keep searching, find other syllabi, talk to people in instructional consulting office, save where you can so you can use them next time. Again, many resources are available. Many ways in which you can teach your class on the internet is available for you today. You need to think about all these supplemental resources in your class, thoughtfully integrate them in, and continually to share, continue to find and filter through all these. Good luck in finding supplemental resources for your own online class. I hope you have high success.